Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here with another Master Duel video for you guys. Today we're going to be looking at some more Swordsoul Tenyi games, but before we start looking at the talking about the deck and then going into the replays, I'm sure what might be a burning question to some of you is, have I hit Diamond 1? And the answer is not just yet. So it is the 8th, the date that I'm recording this, and yeah, I did not make my goal because, to be totally honest with you guys, I haven't really had time to even log into Master Duel in the last 3 days. I knew I was going to be busier with, like, IRL responsibilities, but it's definitely even more so than I thought. So, you know, there's not going to be as much time for me to be able to be a sweat like I have been in past formats where... yeah, I'll be honest, I've even taken off work before, like at the start of a season, just to like be a sweat and like really just climb and ladder up to like Plat or Diamond 1 as quickly as possible. But I think this season, and honestly probably moving forward for at least the summer, we're probably just going to be a little bit more casual about it. We're still going to go for Diamond 1, and I still expect we'll make Diamond 1. It's obviously, you know, not even halfway through the month yet, so we still have plenty of time. But we're just not going to be doing like this super sweaty climb where we, you know, try to climb like as quickly as possible, playing like 8-10 hours a day. It's honestly also just not sustainable as far as like, you know, making sure we don't burn ourselves out. You guys are always going to get daily Master Duel videos though. That's not going to change. So don't you worry about that. So anyway, enough about that. Let's go ahead and talk about Swordsoul some more. So I'm still rocking the same build that we've been using in the previous videos here. Still been liking it quite a bit. Now these games that we're going to watch are actually from, I think either the 3rd or the 4th. They're from a few days ago. I'm going to do these videos and then I'll start laddering here. So who knows, I might actually, you know, be Diamond 1 by the time this video comes out. I will, as always, be sure to let you know, but just not placing that expectation on myself necessarily for, again, this season and probably the next couple of months as well. So yeah, I'm still really liking Swordsouls though. Oh, that's the other thing too, right? In the time since I last recorded / played Master Duel, we got the new pack announcement. And I didn't really make a video for it. One, because to be quite frank, I didn't have the time. And two, also, I don't think that this particular pack is going to have a huge impact. I think it's going to be probably about on par with like Ruler's Mask that initially introduced the Despia cards, right? Where like the initial Despia engine was okay. It kind of saw some experimentation. I expect the same will probably be true of Exo Sisters. Now, I don't really know that much about Exo Sisters, to be fair. So I could be wrong about that, but I don't expect it'll make a huge impact on the meta. This isn't the pack, I don't think anyway, I'm pretty sure. I don't think this is the pack that's got like Adventures and Flandre's stuff in it. Not yet, which actually does make sense to me. I was wondering about that because I was thinking to myself, you know, we barely got enough time with Swordsouls in the meta to, you know, before they will get pushed out completely by Adventures and Flows, but Adventures and Flows will definitely impact how many Swordsoul decks are out there. But it does seem like we will have a more Swordsoul focus, I guess, for lack of a better word, meta for at least a little bit longer. It's actually interesting kind of what the meta report, or the tier list that Master Duel meta has been saying, but that's going to be the next meta analysis video that we'll talk about that. So let me run through the list here card by card real quick, and then let's go ahead and jump into these games. So we've got 1 Effect Failure, 1 Deskbot 001, 3 Tenyi Spirit Adhara, 3 Maxx, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Swordsoul of Mo Ye, 2 Swordsoul of Taia, 2 Incredible Ecclesia, the Virtuous, 3 Swordsoul Strategist Longyuan, 2 Tenyi Spirit Vishuda, 3 Tenyi Spirit Ashuna, 1 Nibiru, the Primal Being, 1 Archnemesis Protos, 2 Vessel for the Dragon Cycle, 3 Swordsoul Emergence, 2 Call by the Grave, 3 Crossout Exterminator, 2 Infinite Impermanence, and then 1 Swordsoul Blackout. And that's going to round out the 41 card main deck. Down here in the extra deck, we've got Yazi, Evil of the Yang Zing, 2 Baxia, Brightness of the Yang Zing. Still trying out Borreload Savage Dragon. This is still what I consider a flex spot, but I've been liking it decently so far. We've of course got Draco Berserker of the Tenyi, 2 Swordsoul Grandmaster Chi Xiao, 1 Chao Fang, Phantom of the Yang Zing, 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Swordsoul Supreme Sovereign Cheng Ying, 2 Monk of the Tenyi, 1 Crystron Halki Fibrax, 1 Shaman of the Tenyi, and then 1 Mecha Phantom Beast Auroradon. So, yeah. Oh, right. Of course, I have to mention as well that what I'm probably going to title this video after is the fact that we actually kind of end up playing an inadvertent best of 3. Last time I played Master Duel here, I ran into the same opponent 3 times, and it was actually a pretty exhilarating back and forth. And I can't wait to show that off to you. So without further ado, let us go ahead and do that. Okay, so this is game 1 of our quote-unquote best 3. This opponent here was playing, it wasn't quite the mirror match, they were playing a pure Swordsoul deck, or more of a pure variant. They were playing like DPE and stuff, so, yeah, okay, they get to take the first turn here. Looking at my opening hand here, this actually would have been a phenomenal going first hand, but we do have the Imperm, so honestly, if I can get at least 1 hand trap in my opening hand going second, I'm a lot more confident. Even if it is just something like Imperm. Obviously, if you're going to open only 1 hand trap, I'd rather be Maxx, but like, I do know that even if this Imperm isn't enough to fully stop what my opponent does, I have a really good follow-up here, right? Because I've got Adhara and Vishuda and a Mo Ye, and I've even got a Crossout Exterminator to protect all these plays. So, another thing that I noted here, and this is actually something that I've been doing a lot at the start of my matches that I think is actually kind of smart, is checking the number of cards in the opponent's deck. So here our opponent's actually running a 40 card deck, but honestly, if I see a deck that's above 40 cards, I'm reasonably confident it's probably going to be the mirror match, or it's probably going to be Swordsoul. So that is something you can kind of watch for, because most builds do play over 40. Our opponent here is playing pure, which can more likely get away with playing 40. But in any case here, they'll obviously reveal themselves as a Swordsoul by going first and opening with the Longyuan here, discarding the Vishuda. It looks like they're going to go into a level 10. I believe it was Baron. Yep, Baron de Fleur. And then, of course, giving us the burn as well. So then they actually go into their Ecclesia, and I actually do have a great deal of respect for people who are able to go for Baron and then do the combo line. I try to do that whenever possible. But it's not always feasible. But, you know, it's pretty easy to be like, oh, I should do, like, the combo in order. But if you can get Baron out first, like, using the Omni Negate on a hand trap to ensure that your combo goes off is honestly as good as using the Omni Negate to stop your opponent's play. It's easy to kind of think of Baron as like, oh, I need the Omni Negate to just stop whatever my opponent's going to go off with. But it is better to use it in other ways as well. So when my opponent activates the Taia effect, I'm going to go ahead and activate Imperm here. I thought about using Imperm, maybe kind of holding it to force the Imperm on the Baron for my turn to make sure that they don't have that Omni Negate. But then I realized I could just do the same here by targeting the Taia, because, you know, either one of two things is going to happen. One, they're going to negate with Baron, and that, even though I just said it was good to use the Omni Negate to stop like a hand trap, that is still going to be, in my case, the Omni Negate out of the way. But if they decide they want to keep the negate and let it resolve, well, that's fine, because then I still negate Taia and they can't keep going off here. So they do actually decide to let it resolve, which I think, I don't know, it's obviously going to depend on what's in their hand. Yeah, they had the Fusion Destiny, which I think is why they were pretty reasonably confident in letting that resolve there. Did they go ahead and set up the DPE here, and or they went ahead. I actually saw a comment filling in the gaps from my where my third grade, you know, grammar lessons failed me. So, you know, my opponent went ahead and just ended up with DPE there. They still have the Baron Omni Negate as well, so we have to be mindful of that. We're going to lead with Vishuda here and use that to force the Baron here, not the DPE, the Baron. The DPE is going to be a separate issue that we're going to have to, you know, deal with as well, though. So, as always, or not, yeah, I guess I should say as always, when, you know, assessing the threats here, you want to make sure that you are investing as minimal resources as possible in order to make sure you maximize the output that you're able to get. Because if we had gone, like, hard into, like, specialing Adhara, well, then we couldn't have used Mo Ye, and then, you know, something would have got pots by DPE. We couldn't have gone to the Hulk line that way. So here, I actually wanted to pause and talk about this real quick, because you notice that I pretty much exclusively summon the Swordsoul token in defense mode. However, I was thinking about this when I was playing this Mo Ye, and particularly around this DPE, because I thought, well, you know, if I special Adhara and try to go for the Hulk line, they'll just pop, you know, at pretty much any point with DPE and that and stop me. But if I try to summon Mo Ye, then don't they just pop and leave me with the Swordsoul token, then I can't do anything? And that's when it clicked. I was like, no, duh. What I do is I just summon the Swordsoul token in attack mode. That way when they use DPE's effect, it doesn't matter what they pop, right? They'll probably try to leave me with the Swordsoul token so that way I can't, you know, go into other plays. But if everything's in attack mode, it's fine because, you know, if they pop the Mo Ye, then I just run the token into something and then I can just go off. If they pop the Monk, I can just run the Mo Ye into something, especially at Adhara next turn, go off. And then if they leave the token, well, that's totally fine. Actually, funnily enough, if they leave the token in this particular scenario, well, I still just crash and then I'm fine. But yeah, so summoning the token in attack mode is actually definitely ends up being the right call here. So sure enough, they use DPE's effects to destroy the Mo Ye, and now I know I'm pretty much golden because they only have one card in their hand. I'm pretty reasonably confident it's not a response. Here I can special Adhara, and I haven't really committed any extra decks resources yet, except for the one Monk, so I can go into the Hulk line and just fully combo here. You know, obviously the DPE's been used, the Baron's been used, we're just golden. And we haven't even had to use the Crossout Designator yet, which is really, really nice because now I can use that as like just an all-out, like a true Omni Negate. Well, maybe not a true Omni Negate against this particular matchup, but close enough, you know. If they try to start a combo with any amount of like Swordsoul stuff, I can definitely stop it, which obviously it's going to mainly be how they combo. So speaking of comboing, we're just continuing on with the Hulk line here. Since the DPE is in the graveyard, I'm also able to set up a pretty unique scenario here where I can get a Chengying, banish a DPE out of the graveyard, which will not only obviously keep it from recurring, but DPE's effect will still trigger on the next turn. And if I can force my opponent to special either the Dasher or Celestial with the DPE's effect that's going to trigger during the standby phase, then that means they won't have the free draw to, because you have to banish both of them from the graveyard in order to get that, which is going to further deny my opponent the opportunity to potentially come back here. So, yeah, this line that we're going to go for is going to end up really being able to maximize that. I mean, it's the same, you know, it's the Hulk line. It's not like the line itself is unique, but the result, I should say, is going to be what allows us to maximize on that. So, yeah, like I said, going for Chengying here. We're obviously in main phase 2 because we had to battle to get this combo going. So, gonna summon it in defense mode to play around Lightning Storm, and then trigger the Ashuna's effect in order to banish the onboard Taia, as well as the in-graveyard DPE there. Now, I always forget this about Ecclesia, but yeah, during the end phase, yeah, if you have Fusion Monster sent from the field of the grave, you actually get to recur it. So that's actually pretty nice for the DPE variants, and is definitely a thing worth noting, right? Like, it's a very minor effect, but it does come up often enough if you're playing the DPE variant. And, you know, for some people that might be a reason to play DPE, is that effect there. So, like I said, during the standby phase, DP's effect will still trigger. That's going to force them to summon Dasher out of the grave. I don't know if they would have been able to empty their hand, but I guess they do immediately Synchro Summon, so there is that. They got the Dasher back in the grave anyway, and they weren't able to empty their hands. So they're going to go for their own Chengying here. I'm going to battle, and then, you know, obviously trigger my own Chengying's effect as well. And then my opponent's just going to concede at that point, because, you know, they realize, like, yeah, they can banish my Chengying, but I can banish theirs. I have far more of a board presence established, and they only have, like, 2 cards left in hand. And I'm guessing that they couldn't get rid of both of them, because otherwise, obviously, they would have tried to go for some kind of out by getting the Celestial draws. So that was game 1 against this opponent. Let's now go into game number 2. So, like I said, I managed to run into the same opponent actually 3 times in a row here. And it's funny because, yeah, this was on, like, again, either I think the 3rd or 4th. I think it was the 4th night of the season. On the 4th there, obviously. But, yeah, when you're in Diamond, in particular early in the season, it's pretty easy to encounter the same opponents, like, you know, repeated amount of times. So, here's a little tip, actually. If you find yourself fighting against the same opponent a whole bunch, after your duel with them ends, just wait, like, you know, I'd say anywhere from like 15 to 30 seconds, and that usually gives them enough time to queue into a new opponent. And even if they haven't, then the system, it seems like anyway, the system will typically queue you into a new player. But if you immediately go into a new game right afterward, then, and your opponent does the same, then I feel like you have a higher chance of running into each other again. I've observed that on like Hearthstone and Runeterra as well as here in Master Duel. So I actually sometimes will kind of wait or go into it immediately depending on whether or not I want to face that player there again, and I was fine facing this opponent again. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and activate Ashuna's effect, and they're going to use Maxx in response. Now, I don't really have any other plays here because I'm under Maxx. I mean, obviously I do have plays, right? Like I could have, you know, gone for the monk and activated the vessel. Maybe that would have been worth giving them an extra draw, but I ultimately decided it really wasn't. And I'd rather just have the Ashuna's 2600 defense as opposed to the monk's only 1000 attack. Plus, I do have my own Maxx here, so even if I do just stop and don't continue to combo off, like, there is still a pretty reasonable chance that I could see myself making a comeback with the Maxx. So, alright, opponent's going to take their turn now, and they're going to lead with the Swordsoul of Mo Ye, revealing a Taia. I'm, of course, going to Maxx at this point, as you know, you would expect. But my opponent's got the Ash. What can you do? You know, this just happens sometimes. It's funny. This is totally the kind of game where if this wasn't like a best of 3, then this is honestly the kind of game where I would just cut it. Because, you know, we all have games like this, right? Where either you or your opponent just have the hand trap, and or they don't, and the game's just kind of decided. So here it was a matter of they just happen to have both the C and the Ash. And obviously if you've got the C first, then it's more likely that you have the Ash later. So I'm not like bemoaning my luck here. The odds really weren't that out of my favor for this to end up playing out this way. But and plus, just, you know, even if it was, it's not a big deal either. It just happens, you know. It's the nature of card games, playing them competitively. It's going to be RNG based. So yeah, opponent's able to start going off here. They only need another 1000 damage on the board in order to secure lethal, and they have it here with the Taia. You know, they go to activate Taia's effect, and it was about at this point, I thought I conceded actually before this Synchro came out, but maybe it was in response to seeing the Draco Berserker here. I mean, my opponent's got 8,000 on board. They didn't even need the Longyuan burn for it to be completely lethal. But obviously, they can just use Baron's effects to destroy my Ashuna. And as we saw, we didn't have another hand trap to respond with. So that is going to be GG's for our opponent here. But like I said, this is a best of 3. We do still have one more game to take a look at as we queued into this opponent yet again. Let's watch. Alrighty, game number 3, and I'm actually really eager to show this game off because I got to take the first turn, and obviously because I queued in the same opponent, I knew what they were playing, and we get to really take advantage of that fact. It's funny because this game kind of made me realize, like, oh my god, if Master Duel were best of 3, well, one, I mean, laddering would take way too long, so I'm genuinely glad it is only best of 1, but yeah, I just forgot about the level of head games you can kind of play when you know what your opponent's playing, but it ends in our case, quote-unquote, best of 3. So we opened with Mo Ye, and I'm going to go for that line. Obviously don't want to... Well, not obvious. I didn't want to special the Ashuna, because I thought it might be a bit of a waste. I didn't really know for sure if I'd have other plays alongside, you know, with the Mo Ye there. So here's what I decided to do here, right? Normally this would be a pretty standard, like, Chi-Shao, and then into Baron, and then just into Protos, and then we're good kind of a line. But here's the thing. I knew that my opponent is playing Swordsoul, obviously. And I know that with Protos, you know, if I call Dark, well, that's not really going to hit anything. I mean, in this matchup, this particular matchup, it would actually hit DPE, which would not be too bad. But I think we can do a little better than that. So here's what I'm going to do. Well, we're going to Emergence for Protos. We're still going to do that. But instead of Baron, even though I don't have an effect that's locking me into worms, I'm actually just going to go for Cheng Ying here. And the reason I'm going to do that is that Cheng Ying is water. And I want to shut off water attribute, not dark for my opponent. Because, and you know, a lot of you probably already know this, they don't need me to explain this to you, but the Swordsoul token is water. So if I Protos and make it so my opponent can't special summon water monsters, they can't special summon a Swordsoul token. And I already know that or I guess I don't know this for sure. I don't remember actually if I looked at my opponent's deck list between these games. I don't think I did because I just went right into the same game, but knowing that my opponent had played DPE game 1 and also knowing that they were playing 40 cards, I was reasonably confident that they weren't a dedicated Swordsoul Tenyi deck. So, if they want to make significant plays, they need the Swordsoul token. They have to have it. I guess even if they were playing a Tenyis, you have to go into Halki Fibrax, which is also water. So either way, calling water here, I thought was definitely the right move, even if it means getting a Changing instead of a Baron here. I thought that was totally fine. So, and then of course we can also use Changing's effect to prevent it from being destroyed by Protos. So that way we're not even like missing out on having a monster here by calling water. I've also got Valor and Ash and Nibiru, so like this game it's pretty well set. I don't foresee too many issues here. Now our poor opponent, well maybe actually I don't think our poor opponent. I thought initially during the actual game when I was playing, I thought they had misplayed. I thought they had thought, you know, they were going to get their token when they summoned this Longyuan, but you know, then seeing them play the Ecclesia, I realized like, oh, okay, they were just going for a play in this way. It's got to be a bit of a roundabout way because of, you know, my setup, but yeah, they're going to go for a good old Baron here. So, yeah, we're sitting really, really good here. Obviously, this is really like the only play they can make. And they had to give up a Blackout as well to do it, which is very, very nice because Blackout was one of the things I was a little bit concerned about with this. Well, maybe not with this board. Well, actually, yes, in this specific scenario, because you might be thinking like, well, you've got Protos and then Cheng Ying. Why are you concerned about them being destroyed? Like, yeah, you might lose Chi Xiao, but yeah, remember, I don't have any cards in my graveyard because I had to banish these three to summon Protos and then banish this one for Cheng Ying. So my Cheng Ying is actually fairly vulnerable here. We need to use a hand trap, either the Valor or the Ash, before we're able to actually protect Cheng Ying from anything. So I was a little bit worried until I saw this Baron come out, and then I realized like, oh, my opponent's gonna try to activate Baron's effect. And I actually chained Valor and not the Chi Xiao here, because I actually can't use Chi Xiao as a quick effect either, because I don't have a Sword Soul card or Worm Monster in either my hand or graveyard. So yeah, that's why I'm Valoring here, if you're curious. It's kind of a twofold reason. One, I can't use Chi Xiao in this scenario, but also this is going to set up a card in graveyard for Cheng Ying to be able to protect itself with. And that, even if I did have the ability to use Chi Xiao's effect here, that is definitely, I think, more important in this scenario, so... also interesting that the opponent did not use the Omni Negate effect on, yeah, on the effect there. Did they use it at all? Huh. I wonder if that was a misplay on their part. I didn't even think about that till just now, but they didn't end up using their Baron's Omni Negate on pretty much anything I did there. Huh. Yeah, because obviously, yeah, because then I went and ashed the Fusion Destiny, but I don't think they had used it. No, they hadn't used it before. They just summoned the Baron, so I'm not really sure why my opponent didn't chose not to go for that. But well, in any case, we did manage to get the win on game 3 there, so we do always love to see that. Just one more quick game that's not against this opponent. Just another one I'll just throw in here, just to kind of, you know, make the video a bit longer. Fine, I'll admit it. Plus, you want to see another game, right? All right, let's watch another game. So once again, just to remind you, this is not against the same opponent. It was a best of 3 we already had there. This is just a fun little 4th bonus game. I actually kind of wanted to throw this on because it was against Drytron, and I've not really encountered Drytron much, like, since, you know, since in the last month, really, actually, now. So opponent's going to take the first turn here. They're going to immediately activate Metatonus Drytron. I'm just going to respond with Maxx. That's right, I remember why I wanted to show this game, because this game is going to be catharsis, not only for me for going through Drytron hell at the start of Season 5, but also just for anybody else who was like so sick of playing Drytrons. So yeah, opponent immediately Drytrons for the Herald of Ultimate is here. I've got the, then they got the Diviner here, but I've got the Valor, which I don't think they were expecting because I already Maxx. Well, maybe they, obviously, they could still be expecting some kind of hand trap, but I managed to resolve the Valor. Yeah, I spoiled it a little bit, but yeah, I actually managed to resolve the Valor against this Diviner, and like, this never happens, but like, to those of you who have also had this happen, isn't this just the most satisfying feeling in the world when you go to use the effect against the Drytron player and they've got, you know, any amount of cards in hand, even one, I was like, it's probably a fairy. Either that or they're desperately trying to get to a fairy, and sure enough, it was the latter. So yeah, very satisfying to see this effect Valor resolve, not only obviously because it means that we can say fuck you to this Herald because they don't have any fairies in hand, but now they can't get more fairies to their hand. So this Herald of Ultimates is just a 3k defense wall. This is like about as powerful as a Labyrinth wall right now. So we love to see that, as opposed to you know, having our stuff all shut down. Although, depending on how many fairies our opponent would have searched, which I think it should have only been like 1, maybe 2 at the most. It depends on what their last card was. We still probably could have found a way to play through it. Well, maybe not, actually. I don't know, because we do have Call by and Crossout, which, by the way, like, could this not be a more perfect comboing hand? Like, just the classic standard, like, Hulk line, and then we've got the Crossout and the Call by to protect it as well. So, we love to see it. We always love to see it. And then, of course, you have Deskbot's effect is going to activate. You don't need me to explain the combo at this point. We've all seen it in a few times, and if you haven't seen it, you can go ahead and check out my combo guide linked in the video description. Well, I guess in that one I more talk out the combo because I didn't have Halki, Fibrax, and Auroradon at that point. I've kind of thought about remaking that combo guide, but I also don't want to like just recycle, you know, video material. So I guess if you guys really want to see a remake of this next combo guide, let me know. It would feature a lot of the combos from the previous combo guide as well. So just keep in mind that would be the case. But yeah, if you really want to see it, let me know in the comments. And if I get enough responses that indicate that that's the case, then I would be more than happy to oblige. So yeah, we're continuing down with we're actually going with the, like, I don't know if you want to call it the full line, but this is the Hulk and Auroradon, or yeah, Halki, Fibrax into Auroradon line, where you can, like, you know, set up the Taia and use that to set up a Mo Ye engrave, then wheel that back with the Baxia, and then all of a sudden we're able to make additional synchro plays. And even better for us in this scenario where we're going second, because this is going to mean that we're able to, as we see here, actually OTK our opponent and win the duel on our first turn. So, okay, let's now go over to the deck again for the outro. Okay, everybody, as always, just want to give a genuine thank you to watching to the very end of the video like this. And I also want to thank those of you who are understanding about, you know, IRL stuff getting in the way of being able to, again, not going to get in the way of videos, not at all. You're still going to get Master Duel videos every day, but just getting in the way of being able to, being able to be as much of a sweat as I like to be when it comes to laddering quickly. It's funny, I almost in a lot of ways kind of said that at the start of the video, for myself more even than for you guys, just to, like, you know, tell myself that it's okay. You don't have to have this reputation to uphold where you always get the top rank in the first few days. It's just not something that's sustainable for me, but that's okay. Giving you guys videos every day is something that is definitely sustainable for me. So I'm going to continue to do that as long as that is going to continue being the case, which I do foresee that it will be in the future to come. So yeah, thank you again as always for watching, and especially if you're commenting and subscribing, I'm especially appreciative of that as well. You know, comments, I love to interact with you guys in the comments. I like responding to comments, and the suggestions I get from you guys, the feedback as far as gameplay and deck building is so incredibly helpful to me. It's like I love to say in our viewer specials, right? I don't consider this my channel. This is our channel. And to see you guys chime in and offer your input really does mean a lot to me. And then, of course, if you're interested in seeing more videos, subscribing is the best way in order to stay up to date on that. So that's about all I've got for today. So without further ado, this is Hexlex signing out. Hope you guys have a fantastic day.